What's cracking, everybody? Make sure it's on. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I'm going to be reacting to a John Bravo Films video. John got the full police reports. I saw partial police reports this morning or earlier on Baller Busters. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you check out John Bravo Films. Great guy, friend of mine. And we're going to go over the police reports. I'm going to give my 2 cents. And for those of you that were in the comments yesterday and saying basically, how dare you? Nothing's come out yet, this and that. This is he said, she said. I'm going to go ahead and believe this woman. And if you feel like you should defend a man that beats a woman, then you're probably not going to like what I have to say today. So let's get it.
So as we already know, Peggy Watson, that woman beating piece of shit, was charged with 5 felonies in the state of Florida for beating the shit out of a girl like the coward we all know he is. And the next day, he was in court thinking he's gonna get out on bail, $115,000, right? Well, what happened was, the piece of shit, I think he paid it, thinking he's gonna get out, but then the judge from the other case with the monster revoked his bail, so I'm hoping that asshole wasted his money and he's still sitting there. And
No, he'd get that money back.
now, all the details from the crime just came out in the police report, and when I tell you this is some sick, crazy shit, because we all know how much of a sick, crazy asshole this guy is, right? Well, now you're gonna see it firsthand when I read you all these details. Wait until you hear this shit. Are you guys ready to hear what this piece of shit did to this girl? It's long, but wait until you hear this. All right, on Saturday, March 14th, the victim went to a Miami Heat basketball game with her female friend. After the game, the defendant picked her up from her friend's house and they went to his residence. At this point, it was approximately 06 hours on Sunday, March 15th.
So 6 in the morning on Sunday.
While they were at his residence, the victim stated the defendant received a text message of a screenshot of her and her friend while at the Heat game. Remember that little clip I showed where she was showing her tits, but I had to crop it so I don't get in trouble on YouTube? That's the one he's talking about.
What the? So let's just stop for a minute and think about that. Someone took a screenshot of Megan in a public place with a girl and sent it to Wes to instigate something. And it led to all this?
The defendant confronted her about her whereabouts as she had not disclosed. She had gone to the game with her friend. The defendant, which is Peggy, began yelling at the victim, explaining he paid for her boob job, that she was disrespectful for having her boobs out, and that those are my boobs, also accusing her of cheating on him. See, the asshole, he thinks because he put the tits in her, that he owns them, the asshole. The victim further elaborated this when the defendant freaked out and against her will forcefully grabbed her by the neck and told her, "You stupid little bitch, that's where you were?" The victim could not remember if the defendant held her with 1 or 2 hands, but this caused bruising to her neck area right and left. So the asshole's so insecure about her going to the basketball game, he goes and he chokes her and tells her, "You little bitch, how dare you go to a basketball game and show your tits."
And not only that, what was she wearing when he met her at the club? She have a turtleneck on? She's pretty much showing off her body in every video with Wes. She was dressing the way she always seemed to dress. But because he wasn't there, that's the problem? That's weak-minded.
What a f***ing asshole. The defendant began to rattle and shake her by grabbing both of her arms forcefully. He continued to push, grab her by her hair, and slam her on the floor. The defendant then dragged the victim by her hair on the floor and later pinned her up against the kitchen table. He pushed and grabbed, manhandling the victim's face, causing a scratch to the victim's right cheek. The victim stated the defendant forcefully pinned her back against the table, causing her back to bend and hurt. The defendant began yelling at the victim, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you and your whole family." He continued to push the victim back down on the floor with force, picked her back up, and forcefully, against her will, sat the victim down in a chair. During the defendant's physical abuse towards the victim, she yelled, "Help me, get him off of me." Then they state there was 2 or 3 other witnesses who were present inside the residence. The victim elaborated that nobody did anything to help her or get the defendant to stop. It should be noted the victim is approximately 5'1" and weighs 125 pounds, while the defendant is 6'1" and weighs 245 pounds. That mother is not no 6'1". He's 5'8" and he's...
You're right. But here's the thing. Wes, with his... Wes wanting to be 6 foot or 6'1", 250 or 245 pounds. He has wanted us all to believe that for so long. Hopefully he sticks to that story in front of the jury. No, watch what's going to happen. He's going to tell his real height and his real weight, because it's a lot worse if he goes before a jury, goes to trial, and he sticks to that he's a foot taller than her and over 100 pounds heavier than her. You got to pick your poison, Wes.
Probably 170 pounds now, that little bitch. It was at this point the victim elaborated that the defendant then grabbed her with his right hand by her hair and then slammed her head down into the kitchen table. This mother took her head and put it on the table. This caused the victim to sustain a cut to her forehead, which began bleeding profusely. The victim advised she was in a state of shock when she believed she had momentarily blacked out and lost consciousness. The victim explained her memory was fuzzy afterwards, so the mother probably gave her a concussion, the bitch.
Sounds
the victim
like it.
advised it was then the defendant stopped beating on her and snatched her cell phone out of her hands. While holding a plate, the defendant threatened to break the plate on top of her head, told her he would grab a bottle and slash it across her face, break it on her head, and then told her he would kick her face in.
Think about that, though. Why would somebody say that? He wanted to ruin her face so that nobody would want to be with her. She'd be stuck with him in his mind. Wow.
And that reminds me, I've spoken to people that have worked for him. I'm not going to mention any names. And they told me stories. They'd be sitting there, they're working, right, minding their own business. And he would just come and out of nowhere, just kick them and be like, "Get to work, you piece of shit, asshole." So this guy's...
Come on, man. Look, I am not into violence anymore. I'm not a tough guy. I'm a YouTuber, right? I'm a content creator. You kick me. Shit. Find out what happens. See, Wes he keeps putting people around him that allow this type of shit to happen. I've never been around anybody. I don't even think I've been around a woman that's gonna let somebody kick them and not at least get up and say something. Where do they find people like this? Look, shout out to Miami, but I've been seeing on social media people that are from other places that moved to Miami, and they say Miami has a lot of people, man, that are just trying to chase that fast money, that easy money, and willing to do anything and put up with anything. And I'm not saying they're from Miami, but they're in Miami, right? And it seems like Wes knows every one of them.
Crazy. The defendant then told the victim to drink while forcefully pouring alcohol down her throat. It was at this point the defendant told his live-in assistant, which we know that Jose, that butler little bitch, clean her up. She doesn't stop bleeding, for which Jose cleaned her cut and then glued her forehead injury.
I don't know if he's done time or Wes told him, but I don't know. But I don't know if most of you know, but that's a prison thing. Somebody gets into it with somebody and they're not going to go seek medical attention. What they try to do is get their hands on some crazy glue, and you clean it up, you clean the wound up, you hold it together, and you put super glue, crazy glue on it, and it'll seal up. It's like, poor man's stitches.
It was also at this point the defendant gave his friend, who was another witness to the incident, the victim's cell phone. The defendant had his friend look through her text messages, photos, social media to make sure she is not cheating. The unidentified friend began instigating the defendant and his physical actions towards the victim. The third witness was the defendant's security guard, who told the victim to take accountability for her actions of wearing a shirt which exposed her breasts. So this asshole security guard is sitting there and telling her she shouldn't be going out to a basketball game showing her tits. What kind of world is this one?
And he's justifying the beatdown. He's sitting there watching this shit happen. I gotta stop cussing. He's sitting there watching this happen. Now this is a new security guard. The regular one got injured. I don't know how long this one's been around, but regardless, he's been around her. He's seen her always showing something. If it ain't her tits, it's her ass, right? And now it's a problem? Now it's beat down worthy? Wow. Man, I've been saying for a while, the world is upside down. It really is.
I have a girl and I'm with her. I want her to look as sexy as she can.
Facts.
So people look at me and be like, that's a lucky mother. What's wrong with these assholes?
Yes.
The defendant did not allow the victim to utilize her cell phone or to call anyone. The victim was forced by the defendant to tell her cousin she got the scratch on her cheek from derma peeling. Further, the defendant told her if the police were to have arrived at the residence, she needed to tell police she slipped on the rug at the residence. Throughout the altercation, the victim stated the defendant held her hostage and would not let her leave. The victim tried to leave the residence, but the defendant feared she would contact police, and due to being on parole, he could not allow it.
Now, I'm not going to do any more of this. I've already done about half, a little more than half. You guys know when I was doing these things, other people reacting to other people's stuff, I would never do the whole thing. This is their work. You guys go on over there. I'm sure you guys have, especially if you follow me, you guys have already seen John's probably. But I just wanted to give my 2 cents, man. Like I said, there were a very small amount of people yesterday that were saying, hey, man, we don't know what's going on, and you shouldn't be doing a video, this and this and that. No. Tell everybody that's done a video that. Don't just tell me that. I grew up in a home where I watched my mother get beaten. I watched her get her skull cracked open. I have zero respect for anyone that hits a woman. And you guys need to know what's being said here. I just wanted people to see what Wes is accused of doing, what his security is accused of doing, what his manservant is accused of doing. I've been roasting this dude for like a good solid 5 years, man. And I knew he was gonna blow everything at some point. I didn't see this happening, but I do feel like he's two things are gonna happen. He's never gonna get out of prison. I don't believe he's going to prison for this and the other case. He's gonna lose the majority of his money. I will say this, in watching him the last, since he caught that case at the gym, he was making it a point to film himself at clubs throwing large amounts of money, apparently, seemingly large amounts of money, right? And in my mind, I said, okay, that's smart. He's probably pulling out 100,000 in ones from a bank, and then going to the club and throwing around 20,000 and parking the other 80 somewhere else because of the lawsuit and because of his divorce. If I'm right, he can't do that no more. So his ex-wife is going to get a chunk of money. The 7-foot giant is going to get a chunk of money. Wes is going to be alone in prison, surrounded by people who really don't like him. I don't see a good outcome. I see two outcomes coming. I said it yesterday. I think he's going to hurt himself at some point. If not, he's going to go insane. But either way, I don't see this dude making it out of prison. I don't. That's my video for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.